Hi, Randy and Sherry. This movie's primarily for you. Might show it to some other people, but just wanted to show you a little bit about our place. Give you an idea what's in store for you if you come up and visit. I thought it'd be cute on Google Earth to start out with your place to give some proximity. So there you are. There's your swimming pool, your house, the barn, way out in the field. So if we start zooming out here. I want to zoom down here. Okay, we come all the way up about 800 miles to here. There we go. We can start to see our place right here. And there it is. We actually live relatively close to each other if you count the interstate. That's Interstate 5 right there. You go up to exit 270, which is called Birch Bay Linden Road. And you just get off there and you come over to Stein Road, which is this road right up here. You go up Stein Road and turn into our driveway. We live on about 13 acres. What's outlined in orange is ours. Well, it's God's. We're just kind of the trustee for now over it. We have about a 500-foot driveway that comes in along this side, and then about another 900 foot back to this corner. For scale, the distance from here to Stein Road is exactly a quarter mile. It's the way things were laid out up here in 1 mile grids. That property lines tend to run in portions of a mile, fractions of a mile. So, yeah, this is our place. Southern boundary of our place is actually a creek, Dakota Creek. Along here, where we live and have our pastures for our horses and things, is very flat and level. But right here at the tree line, it drops down pretty aggressively, and Dakota Creek is actually about 30 feet lower than our house. In fact, as you're coming down Stein Road to turn onto our driveway, you'll know you'll be there, because although you can't really tell it very well from here, this road takes a sudden dip, go down and across this bridge and back up. But yeah, you can see Dakota Creek running through in there. There's a little bit of it there. So, so this is the basic outline of the place. Get it zoomed in here. Have our house, shop building, barn. Was originally an 11 stall barn, though we've reduced it down to about 4, and using the rest for other stuff, storage, things like that. 100 by 200 foot riding arena. This is a small pasture we have out in the front. It's actually designed to be cut into 4 parts. It has a bunch of gates to do that if we ever wanted to board horses, and hence why the barn was so large, was they could have lots of turnouts. But we just have it as one big field. All the metal fences are down. And that's that's the winter grazing for our horses, because the large field out here in the winter I prepare for growing hay in the spring. We cut our own hay and stuff. So anyway, so house, shop building, 20 by 70 shop. But actually split up part of that, so Lori has it as her office for the company that she's the general manager for. But yeah, nice big shop building. Oh, lots of little outbuildings or out sheds, loafing sheds, one for the horses, another for the horses. We did have cattle for a while, but decided that wasn't for us. Kept a little steer that we slaughtered this last year, enjoying the great meat off of him and stuff. But yeah, so we have about 8 acres that's up here in the cleared part of the property, and about 5 acres that's down here in the trees. And just beautiful area down here in the trees. Um, Along the top here is mostly deciduous trees, alder, birch, maples, and then as you get down here closer to the creek, it tends to dominate with fir and cedar, lots of cedar trees. In fact, the cedars are the most distinctive from the image here because they tend to be a little darker. So you can see the cedar trees dotted through here. I don't know how clear this is going to come across, and lots of cedars over here. In this area, cedars through here and stuff. Anyway, beautiful forested area. We just love it. We have trails and all kinds of stuff, but I'll show you some pictures of those here in a moment. So, speaking of pictures, let's go to the pictures. There's our house, and 1,600 square foot house. Really well built. Metal roofs. First time we've ever had a metal roof, and a little noisy when it rains, especially when it hails. But otherwise, it's great. And actually, we've learned to really enjoy listening to the rain on the roof. But again, this is that area that buffets the creek along the back there. Let's see. This is a view of the out the back of our house. Of the trees. Of course, we have our 2 grandkids right now live down at Whidbey Island, so hour and a half away. So we have them up here a lot. So play set for them and a little bonfire pit here in the backyard. You can just now starting to see the fall colors come in. We have a very dry, hot summer. Unusually dry for us. We had over 60 days consecutive of no rain, and that's really pretty strange for up here. But you're getting just a glance of just a little bit of our back, the back area. You're seeing basically from about here to about here in that shot. You get a little glance around the edge of some trees here, but really it's just this much, so you can kind of get an idea of what it's like when you stand over here somewhere or whatever where you can see the whole thing. Really beautiful to look at. I took this shot from right over here just to kind of show what we see out the back of our house. The house takes great advantage of the view. This is our family room over here. Got big double French door. In the kitchen there's a garden window. Dining room has a big bay window sticking out, and then our bedroom has a double French door. But I couldn't take a picture from the house and do it justice, so I got outside here and just did a kind of a cross shot on it, because the camera just doesn't encompass the view like you see when you just stand there and enjoy it with your morning cup of coffee. Let's go back to the pictures. Okay, so anyway, you can see that, like I was saying, you see just to that one edge where it was sticking out, there's a few of the trees that's a little bit beyond. We do have a front gate, and makes for a nice entrance coming in. We don't really have it for security. We have it more for if the horses get loose. I have a bad habit when I put the horses into the barn at night. I let them in from outside of their stalls, because they each have areas outside their stalls that they can walk into, but sometimes I forget to close their doors on the inside of the barn, and so they just walk in from the outside and walk through the barn and start grazing on our grass. So this keeps them from going out into the road. Our property is well fenced with electric fences, so don't have to worry about that too much. But yeah, that gate is just inset from our property line right about here. Oh, and I should show, it's really kind of cool because both of our neighbors use this drive here. Well, actually, our first neighbor uses this drive over here, and the second neighbor here. So really, if anybody's coming up any farther than this up the drive, they're heading for our place, and you see the gate ahead of them. So really from down here, which is where anybody that's going to try and do us bad or rob us or whatever the case may be, from back here, all they see is the gate up there. They don't realize if they come up here to the front that the keypad actually has the code written right on it, so that delivery people and everybody else can come right on in. But bad things around here are very rare, so it's a nice quiet area. Of course, have our horses. This right here is Lori's cow horse, the white one. His name is Dude, and she hasn't been riding him too much lately, but for a while there she was doing things like cutting, and she would go to friends' houses that have little cattle, calves and things like that around, and use Dude to play around with rounding them up, and they do little things like they control them so they can put them into pens and things like that. But yeah, really cool. This is Seta. She was a great training horse for many years. We kind of inherited her from a family that the father had just recently died, and mom was in trouble financially, so we bought Seta off of her and continued to let a friend use her for teaching, because she's the type of horse anybody can get on, but she's retired now. Way over here is Sham. He's a rescue horse. Interesting story behind him. I won't draw it out here and explain it, but he's an interesting horse. I'll tell you that if you come up here. And then this is Belle. It's kind of hard to tell in this picture, but bulk-wise, she probably weighs half of what the rest of the horses weigh, but she's about 8 years old. And she's a hackney, and I just love her dearly. She is just the sweetest horse, and I am learning how to cart. I'm going to use her as a carting horse. Of course, she's too small for me to ride, or for an adult to ride, though. We're going to get a saddle for her and see how she does with our grandsons riding her. But anyway, so yeah, Dude is a quarter horse. Seta and Sham are Morgans, and of course, like I said, Belle is a hackney. Let's see. Shop building. The previous owner did some automotive work, and so this was his bay where he did most of his vehicle work. And then he had hoist and some other things in this section here. And I had these two garage doors where he tore things apart and rebuilt them. This is now my workshop inside these two doors. This middle section I actually insulated and sheetrocked and made nice inside. Lori uses it as the office for her company that she's the general manager of. They have a group of several gas stations, 4 gas stations here in Whatcom County, and they all have convenience stores. So her and her bookkeeper have their offices in here. And then this bay right here that was originally designed for holding hay, you can't see it, but in the back of this bay, there's a wall about halfway back, and the latter half of this bay I have turned into a kitchen and bathroom which has a door that comes off of this office, so that really they have a very comfortable situation out here to not only work but to do their lunches, and they have the bathroom out there, so they don't have to keep running back to the house and things like that. So nice setup for them. The building over here is a gardening shed, nice open gardening shed. The back side is a little barn or a little garage for the mowers and things like that, but this side has potting tables and things like that in it for making up stuff. We have raised beds over here, and I have water plumbed into all these because we're terrible about just letting things die, forgetting to water them. And so automatic watering to all the raised beds. This big raised bed right here has blueberry bushes growing in it and strawberries here in the front, and our goal is to have pretty much everything in the front half of this to be strawberries. Get great crops of strawberries off these. The other thing we grow in abundance around here, whether we like it or not, is blackberries. During the months of, well, really late August through September, just phenomenal blackberries that grow everywhere. Best, delicious blackberries, especially if you find the vines in the sun. They're fantastic. Unfortunately, the rest of the year we hate our blackberry vines. They're very hard to cut and they take over everything. I have seen in the 20 years we've lived up here, I know where in county places where abandoned houses were totally exposed when we first came up here, and now they are completely covered in blackberry vines to where you can't, other than the fact there's a big mound there, you can't even tell there was a house. A number of years ago, Lori and I bought a piece of property up towards the base of Mount Baker, thinking we would retire up there, but now that we've found this place and purchased it, this is going to be our retirement. But up there, when I was clearing some of that land up on that property we'd purchased, I was digging out some blackberry bushes, and I actually found buried in the blackberry bushes, I found a 1933 Oldsmobile sedan. Yeah, it had just been left there, and the blackberries just overgrew the whole thing. And unfortunately, it was in very bad shape. It looked like it had been rolled and crushed to some extent. And so I just took it to the scrap yard and got $200 for it as scrap metal. But anyway, we do some gardening up here and really enjoy that. Okay, let's see. We do have ducks. I should say from this previous picture that this is a duck pen, and it has this mesh over the top because bald eagles. We have bald eagles in abundance. It is a rare day when we don't see a bald eagle. But they do eat everything, including ducks. I came out one morning and I didn't have the netting over the top of the duck pen as thick as I do now, and there were two huge bald eagles sitting inside this pen. Each of them had grabbed a duck and was eating it. And of course, when I came out, I shoot them off, and one of them had a hard time getting out of the pen, and I got a little bit of video of it, though I don't know where it's at. But yeah, it's quite an amazing sight to come around the front of the house here and see two bald eagles sitting in there. I mean, it's a really mixed feelings because you hate to see them eating the ducks, but they are such magnificent animals that it was really a wonder to see them as close up as I did when I walked over here. But we do have ducks, and you can see them over here walking around. And the next shot is of the ducks wandering around. We have them primarily for duck eggs. 5 of these ducks we've actually hatched here at our place. 2 of them were from previous flock that we had of 12. And between the coyotes and the eagles, we were down to 2. We're taking better measures now to not let the coyotes and the eagles eat our ducks. But anyway, so we right now have a total of 7 ducks. Wish we didn't get so many males. I want more females so we have eggs, just 1 or 2 males, so that we can perpetuate our population here. Of course, the barn. See the wash rack there. Unfortunately, I took all these pictures late in the afternoon, with the exception of the one that looks across the trees from the back of our house. That I actually took this morning, and it's very overcast, so that's why it's so dark. But anyway, lots of shadows here, but you can see Lori's wash rack here, and the barn. Again, off in the distance here, you can see the fall colors coming in. One of the things I really like about our property is previous owner had put a lot of juniper trees in for privacy. Go back to Google Earth here. So this whole edge of our driveway all the way up to Stein Road is thick with juniper trees, and then around much of the front of the property along this line here is juniper trees. There's a few holes where we're trying to get some new ones to grow in. But for the most part, we're really pretty invisible back here, and really like that. But here in the barn photo, of course, you can see part of those juniper trees that go down the drive. Oh, let's see. And there's the front gate right there, the distance. Oh, there's Connie Cat. Look at that. This is the side of the barn that is away from the open field, so there's no turnouts in the back of these. Originally this was 6 stalls. This first stall we've turned into a large stall where we store some hay, and we store all the grain and everything else in the other half, and then we have a couple stalls for storage. This stall right here, I have stacked up much of the hay that we harvested this year. In fact, you can see the bales way up there up high. You can see how high I put them. Then the last stall we have down here is for, I put in for our solar panel system. I poured a slab on the bottom, and there will be a picture of that later on. This is the other side of the barn. 2 stalls here for, one's off the screen here, but second stall here for our horses. 2 more stalls down here for the horses, and they each have their own hay. They each have an area where outside of about 20 by 12 where the horses, when they are in their stalls, can walk around outside. They all have water in the stalls. Pretty nice setup for the horses. We do have one stall I've turned into a dog kennel that we can close our dogs up into when we're going to be gone for more than a couple hours. In fact, I think my next picture is of that. Yeah. So I put. You can't tell it here, but I've got fencing all the way around in here, so the dogs can't get out through the stall boards, and they have their little beds and things in here. Yeah, works out well. These are the little areas that the horses can walk out into. They're kept separate, but they can walk out into at night. Look at the stars. They do like to, most nights they won't hang out unless it's really cold or raining. They don't hang out inside their stall. They'll stand out here at night and sleep. We do have I do have solar panels on the roof of the barn, and about just under 4 kilowatts worth. I am not a big advocate of solar power for the sake of helping the local power utility and selling power back to them. There's another shot of the solar panels. I built this big structure to hold them up because we did not have a good south-facing roof on our place. Show the shot here. The only south-facing roof we have is this one here, and in the deep of winter, the shadows from the trees cover the back of this house all day. Now the trees lose their leaves in the winter, most of the ones up front here, so we do actually get quite a bit of sunshine on the roof, but probably only about 60% of full sunshine, and I wanted full sunshine, so instead I put the solar panels here at the back of the roof here, because actually the shadows in the winter become very long because the sun gets so low in the sky up here that even the shop building does not get much sun on its roof in the winter. So let's see, go back to pictures. So solar panels. This is the solar system. Now I said I'm not a big advocate of solar, and so why do I have it? Well, although I'm opposed to it, Washington State does have incentives for selling solar back to the utility. The state actually pays us about 50 cents per kilowatt, whereas we only buy power for about 15 cents a kilowatt, so it makes no sense. But they actually pay us as an incentive to purchase solar equipment built in Washington State. They actually have this big incentive program, so I'm opposed to it because it's only upper middle and upper class people that are buying the solar system, but because the rebate comes from the state, everybody in the state is paying for it, and I don't think that's fair to have your lower income people helping upper income people buy solar systems. But that's just my opinion. This is very different from probably 98% of the systems that are out there, because we have a big bank of batteries down here. I have about 25 kilowatts worth of battery storage, and this is why I wanted a solar system. Um, we actually produce power and store it so that when we lose the utility, an inverter kicks on in here and we can actually continue to power the house. I'm a kind of a apocalyptic kind of guy, thinking that someday the power grid's going to go down and cities are going to go into turmoil, because once you lose your water and your sewer, which you will quickly within a few hours if the power grid goes down, there's going to be utter panic in the cities. But we will be living fine here because we have battery storage on our solar system, and during the day we can recharge the batteries, and at night we continue to have batteries to operate our well. We're on septic, so no problems with the sewer. We can keep our freezers going to store keep our food frozen that we keep in stock in case there is a problem, and things like that. And I know a lot of people have generators for that, but I like solar because generators will eventually run out of fuel, but hopefully we'll never run out of sunshine. During the summer months, I do produce about 22 or 23 kilowatts per day. When it's good and sunny, overcast days, we produce about 4 kilowatts. But really, if you moderate your power usage, that's enough to live on, and we'll do fine. When I purchased all this equipment, I was still working for Alpha, and Alpha owns a company called Outback, which makes the inverter equipment. So all this and the battery storage and everything else I got basically for the cost of the materials actually to build. Alpha gives employees very good prices on the equipment that they build if employees want to purchase it. So there's my solar system. That's in one of the bays of the barn. Oh, I've acquired a few things along the way to toy around with, and primarily threw this in for Randy. Unfortunately, when I was walking around out here, I didn't have the keys for this, or else I would have opened it up. This is a 75 kilowatt 3-phase generator. Bought it off my wife's boss. They had bought it for one of the stores, but it was just sitting around behind the store, deteriorating away. As you can see, the trailer that it's on has totally collapsed and stuff. Although the generator itself is in pretty good shape, fires right up. But I thought I'd have fun working on a diesel. It is a Dietz air-cooled 912 6-cylinder, industry standard for diesel motors. A lot of small trucks actually use this motor. But it's fun to tinker around with. Very simple motor. And so I like kind of toying around with it when I got nothing else to do, which is very rare. But I do want to build a lean-to off the back here and put the generator in there and some other things. And when I bought it, I only paid $1,000 for the trailer, the generator, and this gas tank. And this gas tank was almost full of diesel, so I am pulling that off and using it for my tractor. So right there is about $500 worth of my investment back. We do, like I say, bale our own hay. This is my hay baler. I do have a baler, a cutter, a tedder, so I can do it all, and have a lot of fun with it. Of course, all mechanical stuff. I enjoy tinkering around, figuring out how it all works. Here's the back of the house from another side. Like I said, the shot I took earlier was when it was overcast, so this is a shot in the opposite direction. Here's that play set, and just to show you the back of the house here. We don't have any cable TV or anything like that out here, so I got my little dish antenna up there. Okay, so this is directly behind the back of the house, and now we're going down into the trees. that are behind here. We're going to go down right in here and down to an area that is right here. And that's where we're going to build a bonfire pit and stuff. It may be easier to explain if I got the photos here. So this is going to be the walkway down there. It's hard to tell, but this is a fairly aggressive slope that from here down to the bottom drops about 8 to 10 feet. So right now I've got it as a ramp so my tractor can go up and down it, but eventually I'm going to have boards across to hold gravel up and make a stairway going down. This is what it looks like once you get down there. Sorry it's so dark, but I'll explain what these ladders are. But this is a plateau that I've been working on. There was kind of a knob of a hill down here, but I flattened it all out and pushed the dirt out. Let's see if the next shot doesn't do better. Oh no. Wow, I don't have any really good shots of what it looks like. Anyway, it's about a 30-foot plateau area, just encircled in cedars, mostly in cedar trees. Yeah, I'm disappointed I didn't get any better shots. And it's got a nice view of the creek on this side, and then over about 90 degrees to the right of here, right here there's a big patch of cedar trees, but there's another spot where you can see the creek flowing on down. Creek starts up here, so it's actually flowing this way. The ladders are because I'm putting in a zip line. So I've got some 2x4s. This is about 25 feet up. I've got some, 2x12s I bolted to the tree on either side, and that's going to be the basis for a platform, and I'm going to have a nice, safe semi-ladder, semi-stairway. It'll actually have flat steps like a stairway, but it'll be fairly steep going up to it. And this will all be railed off real nicely and stuff like that, so the grandkids can be up there and we're comfortable with letting them play. But they won't get to play on the zip line unless we're out there with them. But anyway, the zip line, you can't see it. It starts about there and comes across here. And it's a fairly long zip line. Talk about it more when we get to the shots of the end of it. Oh, yeah, and here's the actual where the zip line secured to the tree and going down. I'm actually going to secure it to multiple branches on this tree, and then over here behind here there's a big cedar tree, so ultimately I'm also going to have some cables with tension on the cedar tree. So I need about 5,000 pounds of pressure on this thing, so I want to make sure that it's well anchored for it to work the way I want it to work. Yeah, but now we do use it. It's usable. I don't have it going at the angle I want it to, and stuff, and so it's not very many of us. I use it, and Chris and Elise use it, but that's about it. Oh, this is just walking along our back fence and showing you what things look like. This is about typical size cedar tree that we have back there. Beautiful cedars. We love our cedar trees. That's my dog Reba. Reba, German Shepherd Reba, sweetest dog. Okay, so this is now at the end of the zip line. This is 400 feet to the west. So let's pull up Google Earth here. So the zip line starts here and it ends about here. It's over 400 foot long. Elevation drop is about 30 feet. Now, for reference, major NFL football field, of course, is 300 feet from goal line to goal line, but the goalposts themselves are another 30 feet back. So the distance between goalposts is 360 feet. So this is actually longer than a football field. And the drop you're going to experience is about 30 feet. So the uprights on either side of the goalposts are 30 feet high. The bar on the goalpost is 10 foot high, but the uprights then extend another 20 feet up. So this is the equivalent of standing up on top of one of the uprights and shooting down and landing just beyond the other goalposts on the other end of the field and landing on the ground right there. So it's going to be a pretty good size zip line when we get done with it. Right now, the problem is that on the far side here, I don't have the cable pulled down far enough. So what happens is Chris and Elise, when they're on it, they can get just about to the end. Unfortunately, because it doesn't have enough slope, and because I don't have all the tension I need, and therefore the cable drags, I go shooting down, but then I slow down and I come to a stop about here. I've actually got to grab the cable and pull myself on over to to the end. So anyway, I am going to get that fixed though. Back to the pictures here. So this is the end of the zip line right here. This is looking to the south, so the zip line goes actually off to the west here, and it's secured to, oh, you can't see it, it's this big cedar tree right back here is what this end is secured to, and I have a loop of cable going up over there, and you can see my come along that I use to tension it. I can't fine tune it with a come along because it's the clicks on it are too coarse, so I'm actually going to use a cable binder along with the come along to fine tune to get just the right amount of tension on that cable. The cable is rated at 15,000 pounds. Yeah, there you can see the size of the cable. I'm using a 3/8 inch cable, which is much larger than most people use for a zip line, but it is a 400-foot zip line. Yeah, people using this zip line will not just grab the bar and go shooting down it. This is I've got harnesses, I've got helmets. You harness yourself in, attach yourself to the trolley, and I'm not going to have anybody hurting themselves on this thing. But anyway, I have got it designed, and I've calculated it all out so that the tension and the slope and everything else is set up so that when a 300-pound person is on it, the cable will never experience more than 5,000 pounds of pressure. So since it's rated for 15,000 pounds, that's the breaking strength. The rule of thumb is you never put more than half that on there because after half that pressure, so you never have it more, in this case, more than about 7,500 pounds, because at that point the cable starts to stretch, and of course once the cable starts to stretch, the breaking strength drops. So I'm going to put what they call a safety factor of 3 in there, which is the breaking strength divided by 3, which is 5,000 pounds. So I'm calculating everything else out so that the maximum weight of a person that I expect to have on there, which would be 300 pounds, I'm calculating it out so that the cable will not exceed 5,000 pounds in tension. So anyway, gives you an idea of the size of the cable there. Yeah, so you can see the cable coming off here. The zip line actually goes through, although this area down here is kind of clear, on up here the forest is very dense. And so the zip line is actually going through a tunnel I cut through the trees, through the branches of the trees. And it was very hard finding that because the woods are so dense here, you couldn't just do a line of sight. I actually had to chop into the trees, and I had to chop paths through to sight down to see if we were clear of this tree or that tree, and it took a lot of time. And what I ended up with is basically a tunnel of trees that you come down through, not only from side to side, but actually from top to bottom in a lot of areas. You've got tree branches extending out underneath you and over you and everything else. So it's quite a ride. This is, let me pull up the map here. There's lots of little areas like this. This is actually looking out into this basin here from a trail that we have that goes down to the water right here. This is, you can see the darker stuff here. These are all cedar trees all through here. And so this picture is looking out into that basin with all these cedar trees here. And it's incredible. I can't get over how beautiful this place is. Just so many places just to hike and explore around down here in these woods. It is really cool. By the way, this is about 10 feet lower than where I'm at, and yeah, I'd like to put a little camping spot down here and just go down there, pitch a tent every once in a while. got the convenience of being able to go up to the house and take a shower, but you feel like you're out in the woods. Just hiking down a trail that goes down to the creek. This is actually pretty steep. It's hard to tell in this picture, but again, we're walking amongst the big cedar trees here on both sides of us. Down at the water, we have, again, cedar tree and cedar tree. We have a lot of trees down by the creek that actually go out over the water, and then they, from about here, near off the edge of the picture, the trees go straight up. And they all appear to be about the same age as to when they went out and then kind of shot up, to where there must have been some kind of catastrophic event here. I would guess probably 70 or 80 years ago, that caused all these trees to roll off the hill a little ways. And they seem to have all done it about the same time. And then caused them to, so that they're angled out like this. Maybe it was a winter when there was just an incredible amount of water going down the creek, so it eroded away and everything kind of came out at an angle. But we have lots of trees, huge cedar trees, huge fir trees, that are growing up at an angle for a ways, and then they straighten out and go straight up. So anyway, this is our water. It's not flowing very much right now because we have had such a dry summer, and we've just now started to get our rains. But once it starts flowing, in a few weeks, we'll start seeing salmon come up here. They do come up this stream to spawn, and I've never actually seen a salmon. But I've never been down here really looking. But we do see the fingerlings for the baby salmon in the water, so we know they come up here. Okay, so there's our trees out in the back there, and I've taken part of our pasture. It doesn't show up in the overhead shots, but Chris wants to make what's called a pump track. And a pump track is a track where, rather than pedaling, you go over bumps, and by pulling back and pushing forward, which is effectively shifting the weight from the front tire to the back tire, you actually accelerate without actually pedaling. So you go over bumps, and then you go around circles, and this is a bank over here, and this is another bank on the other side of this little berm here, and you go up, and this is a platform you can start out on to get some speed to start with. And we're actually going to make multiples of these all around and zigzag and all over, and we'll have some that'll actually go down into the trees here and stuff. But we've only worked about 4 hours on this, primarily me with the tractor, and so lots more work to do. This is on the back corner of the property. Thought Randy would find this interesting. Well, you'll probably find it interesting too, Sherry. This is this corner of the property. We have a problem in that there's no broadband internet or anything else out here, so it's kind of hard to tell, but this water tank right here, this is a water tank that sticks up about 200 feet in the air, and you guys come up here, I'll tell you about that. It's something that a private, that a guy that built a house way off the edge here put up years ago, and he actually bought it from the city of Everson when they were taking it down. So kind of an interesting story behind that, but there's an outfit called Pogo Zone that has put up antennas on that, and they actually do high-speed internet over the air. Now, high speed for us is 3 megabit. Actually, we get up to about 6 megabit on the thing, which doesn't sound much compared to what you guys get on fiber and stuff like that, but it's plenty to do Netflix and Amazon and high def and stuff like that, so it exceeds any needs that we have. But in order to do it, I had to get over these trees because it's all line of sight. I had to be able to get a shot over these trees, and the only place I could do that and see that water tank was here on the back corner of the house. So I built this tower, and these antennas up here are for us and for a neighbor. And because this is out in the field, I have a little point-to-point antenna right here that sends the signal over to our barn, and then I have a mix of wireless and Cat5 cable that hits the barn, the shop, and the house for internet access. And then for our neighbor's dish, I actually have a second dish down here that's pointed over to their house for them to get high-speed internet access, and it all works out very well for all of us. This tower is to the top here is about 40 feet high. So, and in the next shot, I think I'm actually standing with the camera camera. I'm actually holding on to the tower right about here, so the camera's right about here. So that's where the next shot's going to be taken from. So here we are up on the tower looking back at the barn and the shop and the house beyond, and of course the trees down along the creek there. And there's the front gate coming in and our horses roaming out the field. Very late in the afternoon, long shadows, probably half hour or so from the sun actually going over the horizon. Another shot of the front of the house from across Lori's arena. Nice, well-maintained arena out here. Our neighbor actually uses it more than we do, and they actually come over and keep it groomed also. Really cool neighbors we got. Another shot of the arena. There's the gate back there, but arena does have lights on it, though. I don't know why we've never used the lights. In the summer, when you do most of your riding, you don't need the lights because it stays light till after 10 o'clock up here. And in the winter, it's too cold when the days are short, so we've actually never used the lights. So anyway, well, it looks like that's my last shot. So again, you can see here the beautiful fall colors that are all coming in. Those will be all that much more here in the next couple of weeks. So, well, hopefully I've convinced you that we have a great place to come visit, and